Hey everybody, it's Bestie Boy here. I'm here with my friend, the gaming Brit, Charlie. Hey man, what's going on?
What's going on, man? It's your Famalama Ding Dong, the gaming Brit show.
Yeah.
From TGBS.
That's right. It's good to have you here, man.
Yeah, I do those hot takes on video game reviews over on my channel, you know.
Such choice takes they are. So we were just talking a little bit on Twitter, and we thought we'd have a quick impromptu discussion about a topic of interest to both of us, I think, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, I think
that we both have strong feelings about, it appears.
It's definitely one of the more interesting, and definitely one of the more it's become a very polarizing release.
Mm-hmm, you know, absolutely.
It's finally coming out after 10 years, and I think everyone who who doesn't want to be horribly disappointed should be on the fence about it.
Should be on the fence, as in shouldn't have their mind made up, or should be open to.
I think when a game is in development for 10 years, there's no one can say whether or not it will definitely be good.
Even a game that I have much more faith in, what is it? The Last Guardian. That's been in development, probably for 10 years too.
Yeah.
But that's a much. You see the even the footage that comes out now, and it's like that's a much smaller scale than what they're going for. 15 looks like they're literally trying to like blast apart everything that's ever come before. We got the best graphics. We got the biggest world. We got the coolest monsters. We got the coolest main character. We got the coolest teleporting powers. It's just they're trying to do it all, man. They're trying to do it all.
It's really a fascinating game, because I can't really think of another game where for 10 years you'd see people on YouTube with Noctis avatars for a game that doesn't exist. And this has been going on for like years, you know what I mean?
I know, man.
Like you'd seen like Noctis on people's Twitter avatars and stuff, like, and
if anyone saw my my Final Fantasy 15 Platinum demo video, like I've had this poster of Noctis from Final Fantasy Versus 13 for 9 years. For 9 years. It's been on my wall next to my Final Fantasy 13 poster.
I know I'm a little younger than you, but I'll just let you know, I was 12 when this game was announced.
Holy shit!
I'm 21 now. I'll be 22 this year.
Okay,
so 10 years
I'm 26. I'm 26 now. Happy birthday to me. Just turned 26.
Oh yeah! Happy birthday, Nate.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
I made it. I'm on the slow decline to 30 now.
Yeah, apparently
ready for that suicide.
27 is where your body finally starts to deteriorate as opposed to getting stronger. So you've still got a year of growth.
To get those sweet gains before it all goes to shit.
Exactly. Well, when your metabolism starts to crash, you'll be putting them on. So
I'm looking forward to that. Hey, so I was curious, because we've talked about this a couple times before, but never extensively. People probably by now know my history with Final Fantasy. I'm a huge fan. Been in since the cradle. Been in there. I played every game. Beat them all. What is your history with Final Fantasy?
Yeah, you see, I'm quite the Final Fantasy noob, honestly. I think my first experience was it because you're American. The first Final Fantasy game to come out in Europe was 7. So there wasn't this backlog, this history. And I remember playing the series for the first time with from a friend, Final Fantasy 7. And I remember vividly at the time because the Super Nintendo wasn't even very popular in Europe. And there a lot of Japanese role-playing games did not get localized over here.
Oh, what a tragedy, man.
And I think as a result, it wasn't really a very well-known genre over here, at least for me. I mean, I was very young. So I actually had never really played a turn-based game before. And as a result, I think I didn't quite understand the concept when I first played it.
They're pretty abstract, man. They're pretty abstract.
Yeah, I was very confused by how we were like, when we were fighting, we were in this totally different dimension.
But
it was always a game that really fascinated me, and I also played a bit of 10 back then. But I think my biggest experience with Final Fantasy is the Kingdom Hearts series.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool.
Which is interesting because Final Fantasy 15 was supposed to be a sort of Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts directed by Tetsuya Nomura originally.
In a way, yeah.
So that's why I was always really interested in it, because I never. Well, nowadays, I took to it. I've really enjoyed playing Persona and stuff, and I've got into turn-based games. Back then, I was like, oh, this is a Final Fantasy game, but it's using those mechanics, so this might be more for me, and then then it disappeared off the face of the planet. So that's how we are where we are today.
Yeah, there was a big nosedive for Final Fantasy right around 2009 after 12.
You see,
what? Okay, that's interesting. Go on.
What I find interesting, because you were bringing up earlier the whole aspect of this game where they are just pushing for everything, like the giant open worlds, all the characters, all the mini games. You can go everywhere.
How likely is it that they actually are improving every aspect of a video game in Final Fantasy 15 the way everyone seems to believe who's looking forward to this game? I'm a little skeptical.
Well, the thing is, I get the impression this is the whole reason it had such a troubled development, because if you remember when the PS3 came out, it was very much a landscape where the PS3 was built up as like this mega machine, like we can do anything now. This is a new frontier. When really,
Metal Gear Solid 4 could only be on the PlayStation 3.
When really it wasn't really that powerful. So I think a lot of developers got in over their heads. Metal Gear Solid 4, one of them, they changed the whole engine, the graphics, and everything. And I definitely think they were like, okay, now this is our time to make these big open world giant RPGs with Versus 13. I probably think they went in over their heads and realized it couldn't be done, and that's why.
Yeah.
That's why we had to wait so long for it to happen.
Well, I chalk it up more to I don't want to say massive incompetence, but pretty big incompetence. I just don't think they really had a plan in place for what they were going to do with Versus 13. I think they had a couple of ideas, and the way that it completely fell off the map for like 5 years, there was like tiny little tidbits of information being released between like, I don't know, like up to 2012. I think I think that was when they finally announced it was 15 or something along those lines. And like the team had been completely distracted working on like Kingdom Hearts and all the 13 sequels. I think that kind of stole any plans they had for Versus 13, and the fact that it's now Final Fantasy 15, that's just something they fucking rolled into, because they're like, oh shit, we need something. What are we gonna do for 15? We got no ideas. We got nothing left. Okay, Versus 13, you're 15 now. So, it just seems like such a clusterfuck, which is really indicative of Square Enix's entire business practices. Since Final Fantasy 12, which, even including Final Fantasy 12, which was a total clusterfuck of a production period, with like the guy who was in charge retired, they changed the story, they changed the main character, they changed so much throughout development. It was at that time that things really started to go downhill, even though 12 turned out to be, in my opinion, a great game.
Well, what I find interesting looking from the outside in Final Fantasy is how, people talk a lot about the, when everyone, like all these Final Fantasy fans, they always have like, oh yeah, I dropped off at this title, this is the one that lost me. But to me, like, looking at it, all the games up till 10 had the turn-based combat system. And it was after that game where they started experimenting with these weird, like, the 12 was kind of like an MMO style.
12 was very, yes, it was totally MMO,
and 11 was an MMO, and then 13 was 13, and I think to a lot of people now, the series kind of lost that in like sort of identity as that turn-based franchise. So,
and even if 13 had been a great game, the sheer fact that it's been so long in between Final Fantasy releases, I think, has really killed a lot of people's interest in the series. For me, it's been that exact. I mean, for me, it's totally been that. But perhaps an even stronger example is what's happened to like the Kingdom Hearts series, because there is no bigger fan of Kingdom Hearts in the world than me. And like seeing what's happened to it, Kingdom Hearts 2, quite possibly the greatest video game ever made, in my humble opinion. I love everything about it. But, like, the seeds that were planted in that game that made it so interesting, like, the mystery of, like, what the fuck was going on when Xemnas went into that room of awakening or room of sleep or whatever, and there's that other Keyblade armor there, and he's talking to it, and it's answering back. What does this mean? Like the mystery that's laid in there. And
was this in Final Mix? Was this in the original?
Yes, that was in Final Mix.
Oh,
but
okay.
I followed all of it like a hawk, man. Every little new bit of detail.
The thing with me was I finished Kingdom Hearts 2 as I was pretty naive, and I was like, I finished Kingdom Hearts 2 and I was like, well,
you probably got that secret ending with the Keyblade Warriors with the armor stuff,
I did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, well, they wrapped the story up. That's the end of Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, man, like, that's the other thing, though. That's what I was going to say. Kingdom Hearts 2 has such a perfect ending. Oh, my God. When I gush about it every fucking time I think about it, dude. When Sora comes back and he sees Kairi standing there and she reaches down, she says, "You're home." And then he fucking transforms into Roxas and she transforms into Naminé. And then he's like, "We're back," and they fucking, oh God, they live happily ever after.
We're about to go on a Kingdom Hearts tangent, but that's fine.
Okay.
It's because in this, you play
the best ending of all time.
You play Kingdom Hearts 1 in 2002. You play through that game. You never get to go back to Destiny Islands.
Big cliffhanger at the end,
when you go to Destiny Islands, it's fucked up and it's not really there. And there's this horrible, sad ending. And then you wait like 4 years for the next game to come out. You play the new game, you get to go back to the worlds, you see new ones, and then finally at the end of that game, you go back home after like 8 years. And that's why it's
but that's everything in that worked. I think between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, because Chain of Memories was a great game. People give it shit, but I really enjoyed that game.
I really enjoyed it.
Man, once you figure out just to spam 0 cards, you fucking own that game. Everyone gets destroyed. Combos don't do shit to you anymore. So people, do your research before you say that game's bad. It's good. It's good. And like the way that story and Naminé's introduction in that game ties into Kingdom Hearts 2, and the whole organization thing was planned out really from Kingdom Hearts 1, because the American release of Kingdom Hearts 1 had that another side, another story ending. With Roxas in it, with the 2 Keyblades, the organization coats. They had Kingdom Hearts 2 planned pretty well in advance.
And Final Mix had Xemnas in the Xemnas fight. So.
Yes, that's totally true. But right, yeah, no, I think that came out after Chain of Memories 1.
Maybe,
I believe. I can't remember. But the point I'm just trying to make is that Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and 2 was a totally complete package. If you ignore like the extra stuff about like the Keyblade Wars, like that stuff's not that important.
Yeah.
It was such a satisfying emotional package. But every Final Fantasy is a standalone game, and then they tack on 13-2 and Lightning Returns, which are not necessary in any way.
Well, it's interesting because to me it struck me as very much like 13 was badly received. But then they're backed into a corner. We spent all these millions on this engine, this game world. Well, we gotta do sequels, and it's like that was an unfortunate move because a lot of people hated that game, and then they kept making it.
I played Lightning. I played 13. Did not love it. Thought it was possibly the worst Final Fantasy I'd played, but did not hate the game. I enjoyed the battle system. I thought it was fun. 13-2 is the worst piece of shit I've ever played in my life. It is so bad. I can't believe they thought that was an acceptable story. Everything about it was horrible. It was patronizing and shit.
I've played a bit of 13, and I've seen stuff from 2 and 3. And, like, 13, it seems like, it has, like, a world, a universe they built. And then in Lightning Returns, it's like, what is going on? What is this place? Like, what is this crazy, surreal Majora's Mask town I'm in? Like,
32
I don't know what they were
is where
thinking,
shit goes full, as I would like to say, it goes full Square Enix, which means useless bullshit, like style over substance so hard, and just loves to waste your time. And I didn't even play Lightning Returns. Maybe that game is okay. I just can't do it. I can't play that game. I can't give 13 any more of my time. I've been betrayed too much. But like, at least, it just seems to me such a waste of manpower. Not in an investment, like a return on investment sense, because it was probably smart to try to make back some of the money, even though, by the way, 13, I believe, is the second highest selling Final Fantasy of all time. Only 7 is ahead of it, if I remember correctly. And it's because of the fucking brand name and the marketing. And the other ones dropped like fucking stones. 13.2 and 13.3 are fucking, exponential declines in sales.
Final Fantasy 13 really was a perfect storm for how Japanese role-playing games fell off the face of the mainstream industry, because it was really a case of when the 7th gen started, suddenly the PlayStation wasn't the most popular system anymore. Microsoft had the main sort of like mainstream video game, the Wii, it's for Nintendo games. And so all the sort of niche Japanese games that were once on the PS2, the most popular console of all time, were now on this overpriced thing that no one had. And what it meant
Are you referring to the Xbox One? Or whatever it was?
The PS3.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
Like, all the Japanese games, that would be on PS2 were now on PS3, but no one really had a PS3. So a lot of those kind of role-playing games started. They tried to put them on the 360, didn't work, and then it was like, okay, well, Western RPGs are building up a lot of popularity. That's when Oblivion happened,
right.
Fallout started coming out, and then finally it's like, okay, hold on, lads, Final Fantasy 13's here. And then they play it, and it's the antithesis of everything these new popular Western RPGs are. It's linear, it's overwrought with exposition, there's no choice, and not saying that can't make for a fun game, it definitely can.
Right.
But at the same time, it was definitely not what people wanted, and it kind of, the fact that was the big budget JRPG really like killed a lot of interest. And it's sort of that poster boy for the over tutorialized, linear, condescending Japanese game, and it's sort of because I think we all remember like the Phil Fish debacle, where he was like, "Oh, Japanese games, they suck."
What a hero!
And I think a lot of that stems from what Final Fantasy 13 kind of did. Like
I couldn't agree more.
There are tons of great Japanese games that came out last gen, but they were overshadowed by being on the less popular system and by the juggernaut, the supposed titan of that type of game, being disappointing and not what people wanted.
I hear you, dude. And this touches on the biggest issue at the root of all this that I always come back to, and it's just a couple of factors compounded on each other. It's the absolute need of companies to make huge games that sell massive numbers that were never attainable in the past in order to make back their investment. And the reason they have to do that is because they have this insecure fixation, the gaming companies I'm talking about, this insecure fixation on being like, it's not about making the best game, it's about being like visually impressive,
cutting edge. You need to be...
Square Enix in particular is obsessed with like having the best visuals ever, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I've said it before, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you still make a good game. But when they infringe on that, when you have a game like 13 that, my god, the cutscenes go on endlessly for that fucking game, and nobody gives a shit because you haven't taken the time to have us like connect with the characters. Like, my god, a game like Final Fantasy VI is fucking riddled with little adventures that you can do on the side to dive into what makes your characters special and unique. Like Cyan's fucking backstory in Final Fantasy VI is that Kefka, the main bad guy, kills his entire family and his entire fucking kingdom. He's the only guy left. They poison the water. Everyone's fucking dead except him. He joins your team to kill fucking Kefka. You immediately join up with the rest of your party you've already got. You go on a quest to kill Kefka. Cyan's your boy now. Later on, you get to do all this crazy shit where you dive into everyone's mind and explore their own little like fucked up psychological barriers that they've built for themselves, and his is all about dealing with how his wife and daughter are fucking dead. And I think that there's like a boss you have to fight that represents them. And the thing is, you get, when you beat that, you get what do you get? Do you get an exposition dump? Well, you get a little bit of that, but more importantly, you get a fucking summon that contributes to gameplay and rewards you for doing it mechanically as well as narratively. You have to mesh the two, but they have completely forgotten that. They think if I just make a half an hour long cutscene that has these characters nobody likes talking about each other for a while, it's going to be great. Everyone's going to love it.
What
but
you
it's
seem,
a fundamental misunderstanding.
What
Yeah.
you seem to have there, though, are characters with actual motivations for being there and doing what they're doing. While in 13, they sort of take the easy way out, where it's like, oh, we were all here and we got branded with a thing, and now we all have to go on this adventure because we're forced to, but we don't really know what we're doing or what we want to do.
Yeah. They're kind of taking the Walking Dead approach of like, we'll throw these characters together, hopefully good chemistry will come of it. But if it doesn't, then you're out of fucking luck. Like, nobody likes Hope. Nobody likes fucking Hope. He's a whiny little kid. He never really gets good, and he's shit in the sequel too. Why would anyone be caring about Hope? What would be much more interesting is if Hope is like a character like, I don't know, like Realm from Final Fantasy VI, or Krill, okay, from Final Fantasy V, whose grandpa fucking dies. Like, everyone loves Galuf. He's the coolest dude in the fucking kingdom. He dies, and Krill is his granddaughter, and she takes over his role as the representative of the Earth Crystal and gets all his powers, and you've got a new replacement. And like, that's an immediate, like, her grandpa died, she wants revenge, she inherited his power, you loved Galuf, she's now the surrogate. Like, that's how you get invested in a character.
This is the one thing that I think personally, and I think a lot of other people are interested in Final Fantasy 15 for. They're positioning these main characters as friends from the outset. They're going on an adventure to do something. They have an objective to go to, and there's good banter, you know. And that kind of brings us on to one of the things we wanted to talk about, which is this anime that they've been doing. To build the characters up before release, and the sort of questionable
intent behind it.
Yeah, and the sort of repercussions this is going to have on the final product.
So far, there are 3 episodes out of Brotherhood Final Fantasy 15. Yes. I have seen the first 2.
Yes,
I've seen the third.
I've seen the third one just today.
And that was that about the big dude?
That
What's
was
his
about
face?
Gladius, I think his name is.
Gladiolus, as I believe.
Yeah,
these fucking names, dude. These fucking names. Prompto, Ignis. What is that? Whatever. It's Italian crazy shit.
It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about these characters being around for 10 years, but only now are we getting any details on who they are or
not to mention, things change along the way.
Exactly.
So, like, what character are we supposed to be connecting to? Like the Noctis we saw at first, this Noctis? They totally changed the way that his dad looked, the king. He's like a totally different guy now. What happened to that guy? Oh my god, and this kills me most of all. What happened to Stella? Like, the girl that I was introduced to in the first trailer, she's fucking gone. She doesn't exist anymore. Now there's Luna, this other girl who's maybe the same person. She's got a new name. She looks different. Where's Stella? I don't know. Man, it pisses me off.
Yeah, I think that poster's really gotten to you, man. Years of looking up at it every day. Every day
I wake up, I look at my Final Fantasy Versus 13 poster, and I die a little inside because it's not out yet. This is important context into my life. So, okay, so about the anime. So I pointed out a little bit in my last video on Best Guy Ever about... In the second episode, the first episode I didn't really like, but the second episode I did actually like some stuff in there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of the problem.
The problem is it was good, and you want the good thing in the video game you're gonna buy.
That's exactly right. So in the second episode, it's basically about how Prompto, the twink blonde kid, was a fatty when he was a kid, and how Noctis made him get swole. And like, first of all, that's a very relatable story to me.
It's the kind of willpower friendship story you want in the Final Fantasy game you're gonna buy.
That's exactly it. The fact that it's in the anime means it's not gonna be in the game.
Are they even gonna reference it? Like, we don't even know. Like,
who knows, man?
Maybe this information's out there, but is it even the same writers making this anime?
Who knows, man? We could probably do research.
Are these even, like, other people who are writing the game even know about these backstories that have been suddenly written?
We did not do our research. We could probably answer that question if we did our research.
Yeah,
maybe I'll look that up later. Yeah, but that's such a cool backstory. Like, remember Barrett's backstory in Final Fantasy VII of living in Corel? There was a Mako reactor being built there. Dyne was his buddy, and Dyne gets killed supposedly. Barrett adopts Marlene. The whole village gets burned to the fucking ground, and Barrett becomes a revolutionary or a terrorist fighter. A leader of Avalanche. good thing that was in the game. What if that backstory was in an anime spin-off that had been released before Final Fantasy VII?
You make a good point. You make a good point.
And that's what it's all about, man. Like
it's even a good story just for this kind of game, because you see countless RPG characters, they're perfectly pruned, beautiful supermodels, and this is a story about how one of them started off, like kind of lonely, and like because he also his personality changes throughout the episode, from sort of insular to this outgoing guy, and it's a nice little story.
Oh, it's great, man. It's great.
Which would have been good to have in the game. I mean, we don't know for sure. Maybe there will be something in the game about it. Maybe there'll be like one line,
Oh, great!
Something.
One line.
Exactly. There'll be some like cheeky banter, but that's the thing, though. It's something that could have really worked in the game.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen the third episode I did. It's about the big guy who's sort of the bodyguard of the protagonist.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me about it. What's the deal?
He's raised to be the prince's bodyguard, and it sort of flashes back to the past where he's training Noctis to fight, and he's like, oh, this kid's a wimp, this kid's no good, and then his Gladius's younger sister runs to the castle because she wants to see Noctis. She wants to hang out with the prince, and she gets lost outside of the castle. Noctis goes looking for her. He finds her, and like she's crying because she's been lost, and Noctis brings her back. And then she gets back, and then basically the king shows up and like, who's responsible for this ruckus? And Noctis lies and said, oh, I asked her to come play with me. I asked her to come outside the castle and play with me, and the dad's like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. You're blah blah blah. And then the little girl tells her brother what really happens, and then now Gladius is full of respect for the young prince because he took one for the team to protect his sister, and now they're bros, training and teaming up.
I'm so mad, dude. I'm so mad because that's a cool story that makes me like every character involved more. But what they've done is they have added prerequisites to playing Final Fantasy 15 in addition to paying $60 for the game.
Oh yeah, like, there's that whole movie with Breaking Bad.
I'm not watching that fucking movie, man. I don't give a shit about their fucking Aaron whatever and their CG. It's just gonna be a bunch of bullshit fights like Advent Children. I don't care about that. Plus, it's a prequel, so like.
Advent Children 2, Spirits Within Part 3.
That's the one. That's the one. Oh God! Like every step they take just fucks it up more.
Small side. Where are they getting the money for this CGI movie? CGI costs a lot of money.
I'll tell you where they're getting it, dude. It's because their entire fucking business is depending on the success of this one game. They're putting all the chips on the table for this shit. And they've said, like if they don't sell, I want to say 10 million units, the game will be a failure. They will not have. I'll be generous and say they won't have broken even. Like it could be like a bit of a failure if they.
The thing is, though, and I think we can be cynical about the choices they're making, but we can be cynical. We can be a bit some Debbie Downers about it, but I think on the inside, we want this game to succeed because almost this entire idea of the big budget Japanese role-playing game depends on this game succeeding. If it doesn't, no one's going to try it again. Square Enix are the only ones crazy enough to even do it anymore.
Dude, that's a really interesting point, and that's sort of true on a mass scale, but I hate that that's the case.
Yeah, I know,
hate that we have to rely on Final Fantasy, which is, it's pretty much proven itself to not be reliable at the very least. When they're so, like, a game like Bravely Default comes out, which was not a 10 out of 10 perfect game, but what it was a good RPG, a good JRPG. You can make good JRPGs that aren't Final Fantasy, that aren't, Persona, these like big games that we're putting all our hopes on. There's no need to do that, because back in the day, Final Fantasy was not like the god of JRPGs. Dragon Quest was, in Japan at least, was just as big, if not bigger. There was just a ton of shit out there that people were doing. But now it's like the only thing people think of when they're thinking about JRPGs is Final Fantasy. And that's, I think, is the biggest problem of all. That people are Square Enix is putting too many eggs in one basket of this one game, and culturally, everyone in the world is putting too many of their JRPG eggs in the Final Fantasy basket, in like Square Enix's basket, when they can't be trusted, and people just don't realize that. And it's going to hurt all of us.
I think it's also interesting to look at how Japanese the perception of Japanese games in the mainstream or in the like sort of the normie demographics has kind of changed over the years.
Oh God, they hate them, man. They hate them. Like, it's so sad.
I used to be when I was younger. All my friends, they'd play Tekken, they'd play Metal Gear. They'd play Final Fantasy X. These weren't weird niche games. They were like they were the big dogs. Not many people, were playing that I knew were playing like I don't know what was out around there. Like, I go blank from
Tactics Ogre. I don't know.
No, like a Western game,
Starcraft.
like Morrowind or whatever.
Oh, okay. Like, Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, something like that. Like they're that was more niche. That was the more hardcore thing to go for, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And again, around the end of the 6th gen with the PS3 failing, that sort of changed, and now it's almost that kind of game is almost ridiculed a bit by the masses at times, and it's why these games have become niche. And nowadays, people talk about Persona and stuff being the new big one, but really it's really a very niche kind of weeaboo sort of centric series.
It's totally true.
When that didn't used to be a case. So Final Fantasy 15, I'm very, very curious to see how it does, because I think.
And by the way, Persona is not immune to the problems here, because that game I believe was supposed to come out fall of 2014. Still not out,
and that's supposed to be like a lower cost sort of.
Exactly.
They
even that isn't safe.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I'm really curious to see how, because I think we all know, we're quite we're hardcore, bruh. But I know we know a lot of we all know people in real life who maybe they play games, but they only play they play Destiny or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how this game does amongst. Because those are the people Square Enix want to target.
Yeah, and they're the people who matter to Square Enix, not us. We're not. And that's another huge problem. They don't give a shit about what we want. They care about what will sell the most units, regardless of the quality of the game.
Yeah, and I think because one of the things we wanted to discuss was sort of the direction they've taken with the gameplay over the last few years. Mm-hmm. I think it started off. Very much, Nomura was directing Kingdom Hearts style, and then now they've transitioned to a different director.
Have you played any of the? Oh, that's Tabata, by the way. But have you played the demos?
Yeah, I played but I played both of them. I didn't finish the first one because I think you had to go around. You had to beat some monster that I never. I got. He kicked my ass, and then I was supposed to go back and
the behemoth or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't beat it. I played both the demos.
I only played the platinum demo.
Okay.
By the way.
And the combat is
go on.
One of the weirdest systems I've ever really sort of, because it's like it feels like it was once supposed to be a Kingdom Hearts style gameplay system, and then they were like, well, now it's Final Fantasy 15. It's not some spin-off. Now it's got to be a little more rigid and a little more.
Dude, it's all the things that make Kingdom Hearts gameplay great are totally inappropriate in a game like Final Fantasy 15. It feels floaty, bizarre. Like, okay, everything about the design in Kingdom Hearts enemies when you're fighting them, like the goofiness of the Heartless, like the goofiness of the Keyblade, the crazy sparks flying everywhere, like your crazy action acrobatic stunts you're doing, all those are great, and I love them, and they feel fantastic. But in 15, what you get is this weird, like, you could feel it as soon as you try to move Noctis, just the way he moves his legs.
Well, yeah, the game also doesn't perform very well.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah.
There's that too. I've never been much of a stickler for that myself, but I know you are.
Yeah.
The moves are clunky. The fights do not feel satisfying when you hitting with that little sword. It's like tink tink. Tink tink. There's no like knockback on a lot of the enemies. You don't feel like a satisfying, I don't know, sound effect. I'm not an expert, but something is wrong with the gameplay of Final Fantasy 15. It's also
a case that when you press the button, there's this sort of hold down system where you don't a lot of the big action directors in gaming, they talk about the sort of the feel of hitting a button and having a sort of move feel like it's charging up and striking. It's in Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden, and all that.
Right.
And in Final Fantasy 15, you press the button, and it doesn't really feel. It feels like he's going into an animation.
My God, dude!
Yeah.
And this is another thing that's super frustrating about the development of 15. In the Platinum demo, at least, which is the only one I've played so far, the dodge button has no invincibility frames whatsoever. That one decision is such a catastrophic mistake that I really can't stress it enough. The fact that when I was playing the Platinum demo, and whenever you play an action RPG, especially one that's like high concept, like high style, like a Kingdom Hearts or a Final Fantasy 15, that you should have invincibility frames. You can make a case for not having those in a game like Dark Souls. Even Dark Souls has invincibility frames, but you're a magic teleporting man, and you're telling me when I hit square and the giant fucking iron giant swings a sword, he doesn't dodge, it hits me because I'm rolling away, and it doesn't have any kind of invincibility frames. It doesn't make any sense.
It feels very much like Nomura was making an action game. Someone else took over who's not that familiar with action games. I mean, he said himself, "I don't like pressing buttons." That's one of his quotes, isn't it?
Oh my God!
And it feels like he doesn't know maybe how these things work, and he's trying to make it a bit more like an RPG. And one of the things we've been seeing are people who are sort of like they're looking for Final Fantasy 15 to be this next kind of action game as opposed to a role-playing game, because and that also ties into this whole argument about dying Japanese games, is that we used to have tons of hack and slash action Japanese games, and now there aren't as many. So people look at Final Fantasy 15, they see a bunch of boys with swords darting around, teleporting. They're like, I want this to be a crazy action game. I want this to be like Devil May Cry. I want this to be Ninja Gaiden. When it really,
it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that.
It's not supposed to be that. They're supposed to be putting time into the world and the exploration, and the combat is supposed to tie in more to the leveling up aspect and the statistic aspect. Anyway, yeah, I was talking about how people are expecting this. That some people are looking for this to be like the next crazy action game,
right?
When really, the team should be putting work into the world and the exploration elements, and the combat should be less about the sort of kinesthetics of play. I mean, the fact that they have opted to do this real-time strategy means they should have good kinesthetics of play.
That's the thing, dude. Everybody already says that Final Fantasy is all about reinventing themselves, but the problem is they're trying to reinvent themselves while holding on to things that do not fit with the new genre of game they're trying to make. Yeah,
what I was going to say is like, they should be concentrating on the leveling up aspects, the statistics of play. Kingdom Hearts, it's about Final Fantasy, it's about equipping, equipping items, getting weapons, building your character, not so much about the raw elements of combat. But they're shoehorning that in.
They sure are.
But that's the thing, though. They're kind of not shoehorning it in, because originally this game was going to be a spin-off about real-time combat. They're shoehorning in the Final Fantasy elements. And that's where the clash, the awkward, the why it doesn't feel right.
And
basically.
Dude, I think I might know why this is happening. And it's got everything to do with Tabata himself. Tabata is such a people pleaser. He really wants to make this game. He knows, man, the future of Square Enix depends on the success of this game, and he is pretty much willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
It strikes me kind of weird then that that Nomura moved to KH3.
It is bizarre. I do not know why they would do that. I think they're kind of planning a contingency in case 15 doesn't do as well as they want. Yeah. They want something behind it ready to go. Because
Kingdom Hearts 3, what we were saying about like normies not being so much into the sort of Japanese characters anymore. Kingdom Hearts, they can bank on that way more because they can sell it to the weebs and they can sell it to the Disney kids.
Final Fantasy has become like weird and nobody really gets it, and we're all like mysterious about this 10-year-old game. But Kingdom Hearts 3, that's a game everyone's been wanting for a long time, and it's just been complete radio silence. So yeah, they can pretty much count on that.
I don't know if people on Facebook are as obnoxious as they are here as they are in America.
Yeah,
but
I don't use Facebook, but probably.
But you get a lot of those, like, you scroll down and you get a lot of people, they're always nostalgia, having loads of nostalgia about Disney characters. They're like, usually 20-somethings who are like, oh yeah, being hungover is just like this picture of Hercules where he's looking tired, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think you can sell Kingdom Hearts to the people like us who've been waiting to play the next awesome, hack and slash RPG game. You can also sell it to those people. You can do the Disney ads. You can be like, oh, the next big the next big Disney thing. You know, you can have the fucking gifs on Facebook of the characters and shit.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So I think Kingdom Hearts stands a better chance of being a better game and a better success, I think, than Final Fantasy 15.
I very much agree. But, you know, I was just going to say about Tabata as well. It's just that the man really appears to lack a clear, decisive vision of his own. And I think he's just willing to, you know, you can see it in every aspect of development. The way he does these, like, commentaries where he's like, oh, we're going to show you how things are going so far so you can give us feedback, so you can tell us what we want to do and how we can, you know, make it better for you. It's like, dude, at some point, like, Kojima would never do that. Even Nomura would probably never do that.
I briefly touched on this when I talked about Final Fantasy 15.
I was
talking about upcoming games. I was talking about the fact that, you know, this is a game that's been in development for years that we all kind of expect should be done by now. And the guy is sitting there asking for feedback, saying, "Oh, we're going to put Moogles in the game. Oh, we're going to put Chocobos in."
It just gives me a really scary feeling, you know.
You gotta give it to him. He's very aware of the fact that, you know, I want this to be a game that people like. He probably knows previous Final Fantasy games in recent years have had mixed reception. He's really trying to get what people want into this game.
But I mean, ironically, though, I think that's might be the downfall of the game because it's such a muddled mess of things that people say that they really want, but don't understand how it'll work as a packaged game together.
I still don't kind of really know. Watching the press conferences, playing the demo, how this full game is going to connect.
That is the biggest issue that nobody talks about. We've seen gameplay, we've seen like the car drive a little bit. We have seen nothing about how the game is actually going to be played when it's done. I mean, maybe the Disque demo, whatever.
Well, because in Disque you have like this little like few mile square of terrain to explore. But I'm like, is this going to be a fully connected world, or am I going to go to like some Ocarina of Time style like canyon, and there's going to be a loading screen, and I'm going to appear in like a field, a different field. But you know what I mean? Like, we're still not sure about that. They
say that the game is open world, and we have not been able to play a really open world version of the game to know how, like, who gets open world right? Like, The Witcher did, Metal Gear did not. Who else didn't? Fallout, I guess, kind of does. I find it pretty empty myself.
I mean, I'm thinking of the last JRPG because I haven't, I haven't played Bravely Default or whatever, or some of the latest ones because I you know, Persona they don't really have open worlds.
Bravely Default was just a classic Final Fantasy, man. That's really all it was.
You know, you play SMT, and usually like the overworld map is like this thing where you trail a little dot around a big map.
Yep.
I'm thinking like something. I think back to like Dragon Quest VIII. Which was a game I really love, fantastic game. A very, you know, it's Dragon Quest. It's a very basic, you know, raw mechanical.
You pretty much know what you're getting when you're playing a Dragon Quest game.
But that game, you know, had very simplistic stylistic visuals, and it had an open world where you'd leave a town, and there's seas and there's mountains, and you know, you can just walk between them, and then as the game goes on, you unlock more transportation. You know, you can get a boat to sail the seas, you can get a tiger to ride around, and then near the end of the game, you straight up get a bird, and you can just fly over the whole thing and drop down anywhere.
It's open world in the sense of the classic Final Fantasy and even Dragon Quest, which came first, technically open world.
You could do that because it was, you know, it had simplistic visuals. I mean, they were really beautiful, but you know, simplistic. You know, PS2. Down to earth basic gameplay, and I don't know if they can. Are they going to be able to do that with these giant, crazy graphics with this giant scope?
You know,
what they're
dude,
trying to do here.
They've said, like, oh, guys, we're going to give you everything you want. There's going to be chocobos. There's going to be airship, and the airship is your car or something. But none of that really answers the question that everyone really wants to know. Is this going to be a good Final Fantasy? That's really, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. None of these individual components, like, okay, wow, you got a sexy Dragoon girl. Nice, I like it. But what if she is treated exactly like that sexy girl from Final Fantasy 13 was, aka shoved in the background, did jack shit the whole game, nobody can remember her fucking name, even me, the biggest Final Fantasy fan in the universe. Like, it was such a travesty that a hot bitch like that was put on the back burner the whole game, when she could have been, like, I don't know, a Kefka type character, or like a Keestis type character, like a strong, you know, cool commander lady, but she just does jack shit.
how long is the game going to be? You know, is this going to be like some weird,
Who
like,
knows, man?
30-hour game? Because really, we're expecting like a big, 80-hour plus super RPG.
I think
aren't we?
he said you can expect 50 hours minimum, but I don't know if that's accurate. I might be wrong about that.
We're expecting to get halfway through the game, beat a giant boss, then it turns out the real final boss is 50 hours away. Is that going to be the case?
There's just so many things they can fuck up, and I have it really all comes down to faith. Because, everything we're saying pretty much is speculation. The game might actually be as good as everyone's saying. It might be the greatest game ever made. Maybe all the promises they're making really will be fulfilled, and it'll be amazing. Like, the fucking journey with your bros is going to be super satisfying. We're going to explore their characters. We're going to fucking get all this amazing summons, and Noctis is going to be such a great male lead, and Luna is going to be a fantastic female lead. It's going to be this whole awesome thing, but it just comes down to what you are willing to allow yourself to believe before the game comes out.
Yeah, because I think when you just hear about what the game wants to be, you see an image of it, you think, whoa, that has the potential to be something really cool and really special.
Yeah.
But then you play it, and you know about the development history, and you know how much there is riding on it, and you know how much weird decisions they've made in development, and you think, oh god, is it going to come anywhere near close to its potential?
And you know what I think is a great example of this that just happened recently was the most recent E3 trailer, and the gameplay demo they did fighting against Titan. So they set up this whole thing to show off how amazing Final Fantasy 15 is going to be. And what we actually get is a set piece battle that you do not have freedom to run from, that you're locked into. Where you're fighting Titan, who just continually swings his arm. He just keeps on swinging that arm down at you, one after another after another. And what you have to do is you've got to fight a couple little enemies who are piled around you. There might be some counter moves you can do with them, but really it's just about surviving long enough to get the big press square QTE counter button that boom, you have now countered the Titan. His arm is down, and then you just have to figure out that you and your friends have to all use Blizzard at once to lock him in place.
Exactly goes back to the weird place it has gotten to in development. If that boss fight was some Kingdom Hearts hack and slash revengeance fight where you're running up his arm slashing away, then it would be it would make a lot of sense. But as a Final Fantasy boss fight, you expect it to be a case where you're fighting a big guy, but you're using your skills, your tactics, you're equipping the right weapon, using the right elemental attacks, an actual battle. But here it seems to be this really awkward looking set piece.
Yeah.
Where
and the fact that you're locked on the ground, you're just in a little space while he swings at you continuously, it feels so unnatural. It feels so bad.
Here's something I wanted to bring up during I wanted to bring up during the gameplay talk, where it's got this weird almost FPS style death system where when you die you just sort of stumble around until a teammate revives you, and that does not feel Final Fantasy or action game. It bucks both trends, because when you're playing a hardcore action game or when you're playing a turn-based RPG, the excitement comes from the fact that when you die, you're dead.
There need to be consequences to failure.
Everything you're doing is you are leveraging. You're trying to figure out how can I deal as much damage to this enemy while continuing surviving myself. I'm using my teammates, I'm trying to focus on the enemy, I'm trying to focus on defense, and that moment of death is what keeps you going in both genres.
I totally agree. And I don't know if that's going to end up being the final product, because there was some discussion about the fact that that might have been just in place for the demo, and even their gameplay demo they were doing, he was kept alive when he would have died just so they could keep playing. But let's assume that that's not the case. If that's so, then what this game ultimately is Kirby's epic yarn. Yeah. All spectacle, no ability to fail, and there's probably going to be some ability to fail, but I don't want to play Kirby's epic yarn.
A safe epic game for the normie consumers of today who just want to play through a game and not really,
Yeah.
They don't really want to have to put much effort into figuring out how to use items and skills and stats and stuff.
I'm ready to kill them all, dude. I'm ready to kill all the normies. I'm ready to go full terrorist.
It's a system that doesn't work. It wouldn't work for the hardcore action game side of it, because when you're playing a Devil May Cry, even a Kingdom Hearts, you're trying, you're attacking, you're getting in there, you're trying to survive. You hit 0 health points, you're dead.
Yeah.
And what I was saying before, in an RPG, you're playing this whole game of back and forth, trying to survive while attacking, and neither of that is present. When you die and Gladius just strolls over and pats you on the back and you've got full health again, it feels like it's trying to compensate for how sort of unfair and clunky the gameplay is at the moment, where you don't really feel like you deserve to get hit.
That's such a great point.
We're just going to make it easy. Just don't die.
I love that point. I totally agree. The gameplay really is uncomfortable to play. In Kingdom Hearts, you start off with your 3-hit combo, you level up, you get new abilities that add to your combo, but it's very slow progression of like the new attacks that you get in addition to your normal 3-hit Keyblade combo. So it organically evolves over the course of the gameplay into whatever. What they're doing in Final Fantasy 15 kind of looks more like Dark Souls, where you get a new weapon, and it's just got a new moveset. And you just need to learn that moveset, and that's it.
Well, the original demo had this really weird sort of God hand combo system where you basically mash one button to attack, and you choose the order your swords came out in. So you'd be like, we start with this sword, then the next time you hit square, it's this sword, and it was basically like one long combo that you chose, and it felt weird. It didn't feel very good.
But that's gone from the Platinum demo, right? Like you can switch weapons in between attacking if you want to by pressing like the D-pad or whatever the 4 you have equipped. But that's what's so frustrating about this whole thing. Which is the Final Fantasy 15 we're going to play? I don't know. I have no idea what the game is actually going to be in the end. How are we supposed to judge it? We're just guinea pigs, part of Tabata's fucking like, oh god, I don't know how to make a game. Somebody tell me. Man, this guy on his track record, he's made Crisis Core, Final Fantasy 7, shit game. The gameplay was okay. Pretty shit though. Hate the story so much. I
haven't heard good things about Third Birthday, which I think he was
did he make that? Yeah, I think you're right. Like, he's only made these, like, mobile spin-off games. Well, I guess that's a Parasite Eve mainline title, but I didn't play. I've never played
PSP,
Parasite Eve. It's on the PSP. Yeah, that's his thing. It's all been these, like, small, kind of side games from their main shit. And now he's put in charge of Final Fantasy fucking 15? What is that? I don't even trust Nomura to make Final Fantasy 15. I want Sakaguchi, but that's
man. When you did your video and like they had Sakaguchi come out and they paraded him around,
that made me sick to my fucking stomach.
It was like
the man has more than anything. What that did was make me not like Sakaguchi. Like, it didn't make me trust Square Enix a bit more. It just told me, oh, okay, Sakaguchi's willing to sell out. He's willing to add his image to Final Fantasy 15, having had no involvement with the series. And even in the fucking speech, he says, it's like a father sometimes worries about what his children will do when he's not there to guide them. Oh, but 15's fine, guys. Please buy 15. Square Enix is paying me now.
That line struck me as the thing that like, it put into perspective the whole situation where this series has become so janked up over the last few years that they invite the original creator on, and they have to let him talk shit.
Yeah,
that's how bad things have gotten. Like, they get the original guy in, and they have to let him go. Well, things have gotten a bit, fucked around here. Like, and it just makes you feel kind of sad. Like,
yeah. Makes you contemplate suicide every day. Man, and God.
If you've gone this long without Final Fantasy 15, I think you can make it through life.
I agree. I agree with that statement for sure. But it's they pile up, man. These disappointments pile up one after another. Eventually, it's going to be one too many. And I'm just.
Hey man, I've been going through a rough patch when it comes to my favorite franchises, man. It's not easy having every single one disappoint you.
Yeah, we're all tasting a bit of what the Silent Hill fans have been tasting for a long time.
Well, yeah, I'm one of them.
Oh yeah, okay. I only got into them after I watched Twin Perfect's amazing, beautiful, the real Silent Hill experience. By the way, everyone should go watch.
Oh yeah. Those are some fun vids, definitely.
Love them. They introduced me to everything about the series, but. Man, what else is there to cover about 15?
We've gone pretty in depth, man. I mean, Basically, the addendum of this whole thing is, well, I'm very interested to see what happens.
That's really, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we can say. We are paying close attention to what's going to happen with this game. Maybe it'll be fantastic. Maybe it'll be shit. You know, we could talk more about, like, the disgusting marketing that they're doing, like bringing Sakaguchi on and all that shit, but at the end of the day, maybe the game will be fantastic. Maybe we're totally wrong.
Well, that's the thing. That's what we want after 10 years.
And that's really what we want. I don't want this game to be bad, man. I want it to be great.
After this downhill slope, you want the fairy tale ending where the king comes back and he's like, right, I've got this, lads, and it's beautiful, and you know, we all come together again, you know, the normies and the weebs, and we all join together at Final Fantasy 15, and there's a Japanese role playing game Renaissance, and you know, Devil May Cry 5 comes out, you know, and it's all brilliant.
Let's pray for that. But every viewer, I really want you to think about this. What I'm about to say, all that shit he just said, this big fairy tale ending. It's never happened in any game in history before.
No.
There has never been a game that's done that before. And knowing all the things we've just talked about the development of Final Fantasy 15, do you think this is that game? Do you think this is the one, the magical game that's finally here to answer everyone's prayers, that's never been done before, under Tabata's direction, change director, 10-year development cycle? They're having us develop the game for them. Is this that game? Answer that question for yourself. That's all I've got to say about it.
Might be Kingdom Hearts 3, though.
Might be Kingdom Hearts 3. Let's hope it's Kingdom Hearts 3. You know, that game has a higher chance. I'll say that for sure. That game is a lower... Yeah, I don't know. It could be good. I'm hoping it's good, though I hate the fucking art style of Kingdom Hearts 3. Just let me rant for a second. They stuck with the same art style for Kingdom Hearts from Kingdom Hearts 1. It changed a little bit for the ones after that, up till every single game in the series, and now for the final game in, like, the what do they call it? The Xehanort Chronicles, or the Xehanort Saga. Now they changed the art, so it looks like shit. I hate it.
Don't you feel so cheated when they turn around and call something the Xehanort Saga when, like, that was... I was not informed I was partaking in this when I played the first game, or even the second game.
The character didn't even exist. Yeah.
And, look, you play the two main games, the character doesn't exist. And then 50 spin-offs happened, and then before the third one comes out, it's like, oh yeah, this is the Xehanort Saga. It's like...
Oh, man. Kingdom Hearts is the king of retcons. But yeah, some of them are okay. Some of them are shit.
To end on a positive note,
yeah,
if you want a fun turn-based JRPG, Persona 5 stands a good chance of being pretty good. And if you want a cool hack and slash, Nier Automata looks like it might be pretty good.
Very true. Very true.
So there are good examples of both still coming. It's not completely the death of everything good just yet.
All I want is people to put less eggs in one basket. That's all I want, you know? I want games to be good, but we can't just put all our faith in one thing and expect it to be, you know, the thing that'll save us all from this gaming hell we're in, which, you know, frankly, games are pretty good these days. You know, they're not shit on the whole. I've been
having a pretty good year, you know. I've been playing through Doom, really fun.
Right.
I just got Zero Time Dilemma. I'm playing through that. I'm loving it.
Oh shit! I've only beaten the first one, 999. I got to beat the second one first.
Like Zero Time Dilemma is kind of on a mini scale, kind of a dream come true that happened. And
it's that's true. That's true. I forgot about that. That people. That's the reason I didn't play the second one, because there was no guarantee it would come out. But
and it feels it feels untouched by, you know, the fact that it was delayed. And
that's beautiful.
That's beautiful. I'm enjoying that. You know, something else I've been playing. You know, I hear Overwatch is really good. Everyone's playing that.
I play a bit of Overwatch and I enjoy it. I do.
Yeah.
So see, guys, there is hope. There is hope. So don't think we're just negative Nancy's. We're just telling you the facts, people.
Telling you the facts.
Interpret them as you will. Well, thanks for being on, man. Charlie, it's been great to have you.
It's been a fun little hour. Been a fun hour. Been a fun hour of hot takes and you know, top banter, as it were. So
that's right.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks, man. And let's do this again sometime soon.
Definitely.
All right. Bye, guys.
Later.